everybody, it's Bob from TNT. We're at TNT Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about some more TJ stuff. I think we talked about this one when it was over here on the lift 2 weeks ago, the front steering stretch, suspension and all of that stuff when it was up on the lift. We got all that finished up. We got it in here in the fab room, and we're now building a cage for the customer. We don't necessarily build a kit where all you got to do is put it together and weld it like some of the others do. We tend to build cages to the customer, to the Jeep, to the need. However, we do have some things for you DIY guys if you got a bender and a notcher. Behind me here on the table is our feet and miscellaneous brackets. We'll go over, kind of doesn't make sense laying here on the table. We'll go over some more of it, but this is pretty self-explanatory. That's an A-pillar, goes up along the dash, similar to others out there, with one very important difference, and that's easier to explain when we get over there. The A-pillar actually has two pieces to it. There's a base plate. That tube, everybody's probably wondering why there's a tube sticking out of a floor plate. Well, that's upside down. It goes that way in the Jeep. This tube drops through the big drain in the floor, and so you can tie this foot plate to that big hat channel. I know none of that probably doesn't make sense unless you're under there looking at the Jeep, but that tube drops all the way through that floor assembly, and then you can actually bolt this to your slider depending on your brand or type of slider. Our Adventure Series slider lines up perfect, come through with a drill bit, and you can suck all of this together onto the slider. Some will say that you still need a frame tie. I probably agree, but for a recreational wheeler, all of this tied into your slider, which is completely tied into the side of your Jeep, truth be told, your neck will not survive what this system will survive. So it's a lot easier than doing a frame tie too. These little brackets, we do our cages different, just because we do a lot of things different. This will make sense when we get up front. I'm going to put them in my pocket so I can show you when we get there. We have a new B-pillar foot, so that goes in place of your factory B-pillar, and then we have these large C-pillar feet. They can go, so you can put the tube kind of where you want. I've extended the rear of it all the way back, so when we start talking about the cage, that'll make sense. So we have this kit. There's a couple options. We can supply you the piece of tube for the dash bar. We'll talk about that when we get up front. And in this pocket, because I knew I'd lose them if I sat them down, these are fresh off the presses. It's a seatbelt bung. So you would drill a 3/4 inch hole through your cage, through your B-pillar. If you're going to put rear, obviously if this one's a Fastback cage, we wouldn't use rear seat belts because you wouldn't be in the cage. But these will be on the website soon. They're fresh off the presses out of the CNC machine shop. It's a kind of a unique design. It's got a shouldered head, so you put that through the tube and can weld it, but you're not relying on the weld because it's a dynamic force. You'll pull on that shoulder. It's a little safer than just a piece of tube and a nut and bolt. Put them back in my pocket or I'll lose them. So let's kind of wander around. Let me get to this side. As I said, we're building a Fastback cage. The rear portion I'm not done with currently. As you can see, there will be a something in this neighborhood. I got my tape, so visuals always, something in that neighborhood. It will have, I can't make my hand do it, but it will have a bend, so all the profile matches nice. We do a B to C connection. I think that's important, especially in a fastback cage, because you have a hinge point here. In a hard impact, the cage can open. So we tie B to C, C to B, there we go. Well, we do this kick in there for those of the guys running a factory soft top. If you've ever folded your soft top down, the bows all come together and it tucks down in here. Some of the other guys will just run this bar straight, and now you've got an interference point when you drop your top. This one, the top drops right in, got no problems. We raise the top. The roof line is raised, so that does two things for you. Bigger guy like me, gives you a little more headroom. It also, in a rollover, instead of having a completely flat top, can have an advantage where it will kick the Jeep and continue the roll. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but if you end up on your wheels, it sure makes cleaning up the pieces a heck of a lot easier. So we've had a few go over the years, and that little kick in there will actually continue the roll instead of playing turtle. Part of the reason we're building a cage, in case you go over, you're protected. I do all my cage work to fit the factory door surrounds. So this bar is in factory location. The door surrounds go right back on. You can see I got them duct taped in so they will hold. We keep putting doors on and checking fitment. That's important because if you're running hard doors like this Jeep does, there's a seal that fits in this channel. So that door surround has to be in the right place or you get wind noise. So this piece, let's see, what pocket I put them in here. So you know how if you're familiar, if you ever had your windshield down on your TJ/LJ, this upper bar goes straight forward and has this big dumb plate on the end of it that then bolts into the windshield frame. Okay, that's great. If you wheel a Jeep and you run with the windshield down or off, now you have that big plate just sticking up here in no man's land. And chances are you're going to smash that plate. How do you put your windshield back up when it's time to go home? All of that's mangled. So we do a bend here, one that's stronger, instead of having another joint. You know, a lot of companies bring this piece of tube, it's notched to go into that, or some of them even use a clamp, but they don't solve this. We solve that by doing this as a continuous piece of tube all the way back. So that's where these come into play. That bracket bolts to your windshield. Once you're done, it's one of the last things you do. Once you're done, put the windshield up, you bolt that to the windshield. This, they're loose so that you can change and get the angle right, but this will be something like that when it's all said and done. And then we'll send you a little, or you can make a bung. We'll put a bung in here so that when you lay your windshield down, you pull one bolt. This bracket then stays with the windshield frame. It's out of harm's way. You can run this corner into whatever you need to run it in. Probably the most familiar obstacle is the entrance to Upper Eldorado. You will smash that right here on that side of the cage. And if you have the traditional bracket out here, you're just going to mangle it. This will tip into the rock, slide through, and away you go. So we were talking earlier on the 8-pillar feet, how we do ours different. You can see there's a dash bar. If Mason comes around here, you can see it. We bring the dash bar completely through the 8-pillar, so the joint is carrying the load, not the weld. So you bring the tube through, it can be welded all the way around here, as much of as you can get to on the inside. We'll end up taking all this top back out once everything's fitted to finish welding that. Then this bar sits on the dash bar, but it's up against this A-pillar, so you can get it welded all the way around the A-pillar, all the way around. I think it's a much stronger system than the A-pillar kits out there that just have a flange bent over flat and the tubes welded to that. It just, to me, is not structurally strong. This is a lot stronger system. So that piece of tube is an option. We can cut that to the right length and send you that, because we use 1.5 inches, so we don't block a lot of visibility, but it's 156 wall. It's heavier than your normal cage material. So the 1.5 inch 156 wall carries the same strength as the 1 3/4 125 wall. But it's a smaller tube, so it doesn't impede your forward vision as much as a piece of 1 3/4 would. And it fits right through without interfering with the gauge cluster, and it doesn't impede the defrosting system for those that run in the wintertime. It's a really slick setup. Mason can see the two pieces now. We've got the floor plate in. That piece of tube is dropped through that big drain hole. We haven't drilled it in yet because you wanted to leave that for last until everything's fitted and ready to go. But it bolts in here just like all the other ones on the market, continues down to the floor. The A-pillar is bolted to the A-pillar foot. In some cases, if you're going to run harnesses and not a factory seat belt, then we will continue A to B right here underneath the door opening, but that does get in the way of the factory seat belt, and this customer wants factory seat belts back in it. So I'm working on a bracket that also ties the A-pillar into probably these two slider bolts, so that this whole front corner is tied together. They're pretty tough. We've had, over the years, we've tipped a few of these Jeeps over and tumbled them. Our A-pillar has never failed. Not saying it can't, just depends on, I wouldn't say it's KOH rated or race rated.
I'm out.
But it's definitely trail rated, recreational use. We have bender, notcher, obviously we have full CNC equipment over at the manufacturing facility. So we kind of build a cage to your needs. Come in, talk to us, and I'll sit down with you and we'll get things figured out what you want. We do a lot of fastback cages in TJs. In my opinion, and a lot of opinions, TJs are two-seaters. Back seat just kills potential storage room. But we can build the family style cage if that's what you need. But with our roadster options, then we start another product we've had for a lot of years. It's a really simple spare tire carrier. So when you pull your rear seat out, you've got these 4 bolts. That's where your factory seat brackets bolted to. So you take all that out. This bracket bolts there. This is the seat belt where they slide up through the bottom of the seat, the clip-in part. So it bolts there. There's a spacer under all to make up for the ribs in the deal, so that this is adjustable. You set your tire in, get it to where you want it, obviously in far enough where the tailgate will close. Get this adjusted to center, take the tire back out, tighten everything back down, and then you have this wing nut, if you will. It's Acme thread, so it's pretty coarse, like 6 turns per inch. We use a centering polyurethane gizmo. Drop that in your wheel, screw that down, and essentially you just screw the tire right to the floor. Never goes anywhere. Lays down in here nice. A 37 will fit all day long. I do have a customer running a 38 1450 Goodyear. He does have to air it down so you can get a little squish on it. but it goes in as well. The 37 will clear the factory console and give you, you've got some adjustability front to rear, depends on where you want to carry it. That makes a TJ wheel better. Takes all this weight from hanging back here and puts it up forward of the axle. Night and day how they climb. So that simple little piece is on our website if that interests you. Works in an LJ as well, because the seat brackets, all of that was interchangeable.
Gives you a little more room too.
Yeah.
And
If you got an
that'll work
LJ, you've definitely got more room around the tire.
and that'll work with any offset wheel as well. Any
Yep.
bead lock, anything.
Anything. So if you're gonna try and stuff a 40 in there, good luck. It will go, but good luck. It may be wedged in there so tight you'll never get it back out. Typically for a 40-inch tire, I'll come off these C to B's and build a tray up here that we can slide the tire in flat up here.
Coming soon. I know a
Right.
guy.
That, and then you just slide it in and out the back. So that's pretty much on the cage and our pieces. These are on the website. You got to dig a little bit, but I did find them the other day when I was looking. What you see there is what you're going to get in the box. The piece of tube we can send you if you need it. UPS on that shouldn't be horrible. It's under 5 feet. And then the seatbelt bungs, whichever pocket I put them in, is an option as well. So Mason and I are going to wander up here. That pretty much covers cage by TNT, some assembly required. So we'll go look at a couple of Jeeps that we've got on the lift. I think we'll wrap it up for today. And yeah, we are working on IREX. It is coming together very, very slowly. Sorry, Pat. So we got the Safari LJ just about finished as far as fab goes. Coilovers are in, everything's been cycled, suspension's all in. It's been like this for a while. Craig's been plumbing and wiring. So we wanted to show you some of our plumbing. Hopefully get my flashlight out. It's kind of dark under there. Maybe. There it goes. So we did all custom hand-built exhaust to keep everything tucked up high and tight. It's a 2-into-1 system. We use a Flowmaster Y-pipe, and there's a Flowmaster 40 series muffler tucked back up in the belly pan so nothing gets smashed. You can see everything's above the oil pan, so when we put the skid plate on, everything's protected. That system was kind of a bugger to build. You can see there's a bunch of joints in that passenger side to get that to turn the direction we needed to turn, and then had another direction we had to turn. But suspension fully cycles, nothing interferes. You can see up here, got the goat built power steering relocation brackets on the LS so we can get the pump up higher and get it out of the way of the front diff. You know, we still got some steering we have to figure out. Rear suspensions are dual triangulated 4-link. All the suspension pieces are in. We haven't put the skid plate on, obviously, because we're still working on exhaust, and Craig's been wiring. You can see wires hanging. He's got brake lines ran. So now we got to finish all the plumbing up. It should run in the next week, and then once we know it all runs and everything works right, then we'll completely blow it apart. The tub is going over to Linex to be sprayed in Ultra. The top will get sprayed. Cage will get powder coated. The frame will get finish welded and treated with probably Pour 15. And we'll start final assembly and test and tune. So we're gaining on it. We have a TJ over here that we built or rebuilt for a customer. It's got all our suspension in it. Had some fuel pump issues, so we're changing a fuel pump. We're doing a little cage work on this one as well. He wants a better spare tire mounting solution than a ratchet strap. So we're gonna finish that up here next week or so. This Jeep will be on last man standing. It's a little small, but Joe's a pretty good driver and it's a pretty capable Jeep, and we're gonna give him a shot. I think he'll do well. So while he's overseas working for the next couple of weeks, we're just getting all the maintenance tied up and taken care of, so it's ready to go in September. Other than that, I don't really know a whole lot today. We just got back from All for Fun. Mary and I were down there for a week. Took our 5-year-old granddaughter with. It was trying, but we had a good time. Got to show her some pretty cool stuff up in the high country. Yeller did okay. No major problems. We led the Wheeler Lake, Holy Cross, and Grizzly Lake trails. No real problems there either. Everybody had a good time. Upcoming events locally, the weekend of the 19th, I think it is the 19th, is the local Napa Auto Care Center's first annual, boy that's a mouthful, poker run. So watch social media for instructions on how to participate in that, but in a nutshell, you have to go to all of the Napa Auto Care Centers in Cheyenne and draw a card. And then we will play on Saturday at a meet and greet over at Halliday Park. After that, Labor Day is the Morrison Adventure. We got a few brave souls headed up the Switchbacks. Last Man Standing you know about. And last for exploring trip of the season is Into the Swell. So that's fall adventure. We start in Green River, Utah and head into San Rafael Swell. We'll be out there for the week. So I've got a few spaces left on that one. If you'd like to go overlanding and see incredible scenery. San Rafael Swell is pretty cool. Very, very remote. Please hit us up if you have interest in doing something like that. info@forexploring.com is the best way to get a hold of us for any of the For Exploring trips. TNT will be at Chili Challenge mid-October. And then after that, we start getting ready for winter and hopefully get my TJ done so I can go snow bashing this winter. Looking forward to a supercharged LS on 42s in the snow. Should be a hoot. So as we get that one back in the shop here in the next month or so, we'll be doing lots of chats about that Jeep. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if you heard Chuck in the background. His Jeep will be coming back in as soon as we can figure out a schedule when he doesn't need it, and do a full cage system in that one. If I have my way, that one will have some interesting items put in the cage. We'll see. Chuck standing in the background going, what? Huh? But I think we can come up with a pretty unique cage for that Jeep.
If it turns out anything like that, a body armor that everybody complimented me on in the
Right.
lab, I think I'll be okay with it because it turned out awesome. Everybody seemed to be a fan.
We may solve the folding windshield thing forever.
I'm down with that.
More to come on that. We gotta discuss that one. If anybody's seen pictures of my Jeep floating around the internet, you'll kind of pick up when I'm laying down.
If you
So-
haven't seen pictures of his Jeep, you need to look it up, or I'll post some later because
Right.
it's flipping ridiculous and makes mine look stock. So,
We got to get that one back in and get her done this fall,
yes,
just in time for snow to fly.
it could be next week.
Yeah, well, I think we're pretty much just rambling at this point, so we will sign off for this week. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any comments, leave a comment. If you want us to cover something in particular, put it in the comments. Send us an email, send us a message on one of the social media outlets.
Completely open to suggestions. If
Yeah.
you guys have any ideas on anything you want to see installed, how it does, how it's made, anything, let us
Right.
know.
Yep.
We're down to show. We're not providing secrets around here.
Nope.
We'll let you know what's going on.
So, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week
See ya.
at noon.